Welcome to Adak, a small town of less than 100 permanent residents on the 274 square mile Adak Island. Adak Island is Alaska's southernmost town and is located in the middle of the Aleutian Island chain. The island is a desolate tundra. No trees, however, there are lots of inland lakes, lagoons, and freshwater springs and creeks. There is quite a bit of wildlife too. Seabirds like the harlequin, white-winged scoter, and Pacific eider are prevalent in and around the island. There is also a caribou herd that was established on the island to help maintain a steady food supply for the islanders to avoid famine. The original 28 caribou that were placed on the island has now increased to thousands and has created a good moneymaker for guides on the island, guiding caribou hunters from around the world.
Hello, I'm Charlie Somerville, owner of Aleutian Island Waterfowlers here in Adak Island. This is my 25th year in business in Alaska. We specialize in wilderness guiding of all types, fishing, bird hunting, big game, and it's what I do full time. I'm a bush pilot and boat captain.
The island is noted for holding 3 species of huntable waterfowl, only found there in the United States or the world, and are considered trophies. The Aleutian teal, Eurasian widgeon, and Pacific eider. And the harlequin and caribou hunting are one of a kind. The climate is quite intolerable, averaging 50 to 75% of the year, with overcast skies, moderate temperatures, high winds, and frequent cyclonic storms.
With all the rich variety of weather from her abundant storehouse. The old bag blew her top!
The temperature averages between 20 to 60 degrees throughout the entire year, and the highest wind gusts recorded were 109 knots.
My gracious, such conditions are almost unbelievable.
Nevertheless, that's the conditions that prevail.
The record high temperature was 74 degrees in August of 1954, and the record low was 3 degrees in January of 1963 and February 1964. Adak's total precipitation is 64 inches annually, with an average of 100 inches of snowfall, primarily falling in the upper reaches of the volcanoes. On average, 341 days out of the year have measurable precipitation. The island has a rich World War II history. In the spring of 1942, the Japanese invaded the Aleutian Islands.
The Japs once considered a back door to the United States. But when the door was opened... Oh, regrettable incident!
The events that started the conflicts in the Pacific began 6 months earlier with the attack on Pearl Harbor. The Japanese vowed to destroy the U.S. military in the Pacific. They knew they had the upper hand and sought a second strike. It would have been known as the Battle of Midway. With this as their distraction, the Japanese then attacked and invaded the Aleutians. They stormed on the Attu and Kiska, the 2 farthest out islands, and bombed the American base in Dutch Harbor.
The United States decides it can no longer allow Japanese occupation of American soil. The U.S. forces now aim to establish a base within striking distance of Kiska and Attu. The island of Adak is chosen just 240 miles from Kiska and 450 miles from Attu. Once again, brilliant Army engineer Colonel Talley is sent to do a soldier's dangerous work.
Benjamin Talley is then sent with a secret team to Adak to scout out the island.
He would go out with 2 or 3 people, land on these islands in a small boat, go in and do the actual survey work.
None of the sites on Adak look very promising. And then Talley gets an idea. He looks at the bay at Adak and said, you know, this little lagoon, and said, if we drain this, it's perfect.
Talley is right. The Army Corps of Engineers goes to work. Within days, Talley has built the most strategically important airfield in the American North. days later, Erickson lands the first plane on Adak's runway. Now the U.S. is only 240 miles from Kiska, true striking distance for all their planes. Soon, 17,000 men are on Adak, ready to press the campaign. But the unforgiving Alaskan weather now threatens to put an end to their plans. If the Japanese are not routed before October, the United States will face a long, bitter winter of embarrassment. Morale plummets.
People would beg to be court-martialed, beg to be sent to Fort Leavenworth, to get out of there, to get off those islands.
The terrain was dismal, no trees, very bleak. There were a number of suicides. Depression was a problem.
The Surgeon General is quoted about being on an airplane with 6 Aleutian GIs who were in straitjackets. The Surgeon General's report said these guys had a peculiar stare. They looked through you. He said they don't see you, but they look through you.
Using Adak as their base of operations, the United States fought the Japanese off Attu.
The object is to hit the target, not to avoid anti-aircraft. Remember this, you're just as liable to run into it as away from it. The best way is to forget what's happening outside and make the run by instruments. That way, if it comes, well, you just look over your shoulder and see a man with a long beard, and you say, "Good morning, Father Abraham."
I want every man to stick by his gun until I say he can leave. Use every round of ammunition on this ship. Fire straight at the gun flashes until they stop. If we're hit and have to bail out, there'll be plenty of Navy around to pick us up. Okay, shall we give it to them?
Out of the nearly 3,000 Japanese soldiers on Attu, only 28 were taken prisoner. The rest were either killed or committed suicide. On the American side, there was 550 killed, 1,100 wounded, and 2,000 suffering from frostbite. There were more casualties on the American side than the Japanese side. What commanders thought would have been an easy 3-day battle turned out to be a 3-week struggle between the Japanese and the weather. However, the victory on Attu persuaded the Japanese to evacuate Kiska Island, preventing further bloodshed. America now took control over the Aleutian Island. The United States had maintained a military base on Adak until the late 90s. The evidence of the military is still all around the island. When they left, they just abandoned everything. Whatever was too expensive to take and ship away, well, sold off to inhabitants at low prices or just left.
Adak is the furthest most remote island in the Aleutians that's still inhabited, that's not military controlled. Adak was controlled by the military up till about 7 years ago, and then it was turned over back to the Aleut Native Corporation due to budget cuts.
Barracks and weapons storage facilities are everywhere around the island.
Pretty crazy.
Inside the barracks, furnitures and items are left everywhere from the former inhabitants. Out of the nearly 500 military buildings, 430 are still left vacant. There is even an abandoned McDonald's, with drive-throughs still attached.
So the infrastructure here plays a very important role. We have a huge airport with 737 access for jets and transportation. We've got beautiful housing. We've got real nice people here. It's just a very good infrastructure. The seafood industry is starting to expand again. They just restarted the new icicle seafoods for crab and pollock and halibut processing. So things are starting to pick up a little bit for the town, even though there are only around 100 people right now that live here full time. And as you notice, when the jets come in, you know, the population can increase by, you know, up to 50% on any given week. 30 to 40 tourists slash hunters slash you know, eco tourists come out here to see the island with the wildlife and the marine life, the seals, the birds. You know, Adak in the springtime is a world-class wildlife viewing area for all the exotic Eurasian birds that are migrating across from Asia. So it is a big birding destination besides what we're doing here with the waterfowl in the fall.
There's a small generator plant, an international gas reserve and distributor, a few teaching jobs, as the K-12 school only has 20 children in it, a few firemen, a police officer, a wildlife manager, and a slowly growing fish packing plant. There's one general store and one bar/restaurant. The general store, in an old school gym, has everything you would need, although the prices are extremely high due to the distance needed to ship the products. The bar, the Aleutian Sport Bar and Grill, Assbag, serves food at high prices also. Like a cheeseburger, with your choice of french fries, tater tots, or onion rings, $15.50. Or a double bacon cheeseburger for $19.50. Gas isn't much more expensive due to the massive fuel reserve in the island, at $5.83 a gallon. But purchasing the gas is different. You insert your credit card and wait for a fax to send and clear your card and transaction. Select unleaded or diesel. Pull the lever and pump. However, there is a $150 limit, so you might have to do this process several times. One last incredible thing witnessed on the island is the amount of bald eagles. It isn't unheard of to see hundreds per day, and you have amazing opportunities for pictures and videos. It is awe-inspiring to see the strong, powerful hunters who strike fear in everyone they meet, including the fiery piles of trash at the dump. All day long, they congregate and scavenge through the dump 30 or 40 at a time. It was very odd seeing a fully plumaged eagle 5 yards from me picking on a caribou carcass. They congregate on buildings next to the dump, on top of the dumpsters themselves, and the concrete barricades around the dump. All in all, after traveling to Adak, I have lost a lot of respect for America's bird. From the abandoned buildings, to the wildlife,
It is.
to the treeless tundra, Adak was an amazing experience. As a unique vacation spot, I can highly recommend Adak Island. If you like beautiful scenic views, oceans, or if you're a bird watcher, the island's perfect for you. And the hunting's not too bad neither. Just watch out where you dig. And watch where you step. Try not to rock the boat too hard. And always remember, do not use foil/metal in the microwave. Thanks.